over 250 children were abandoned between October and December last year. That's according to the Department of Social Development. The bulk of the cases were reported in KZN, which is followed by Free State and the Western Cape. Teenage pregnancy and gender-based violence are among some of the reasons why babies were abandoned. Well, we are joined to take this discussion further by Department spokesperson Lumka Oliphant, who joins us more on this. Lumka, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I think let's go through those numbers, right? I saw 250 between October and December. Expand on that. What do those numbers look like from a bigger point of view throughout 2023? I think your mic is off, Lumka.
Those are reported cases, as you would know, that we are obligated to, as a country, to report any suspected child abuse case. That's why the country has the Child Protection Register, whereby the Part A of the register then means that there is an obligation for us to report those cases. So these are the cases that were reported to the Department of Social Development through the provinces, and we still are saying that people must please always come forward for any suspected child abuse case.
Yeah, you talk about those are the cases that are reported according to the National Child Protection Register. What are you hearing then from civil society organizations about what those numbers could look like, where perhaps they haven't been reported to government authorities? I mean, I've got an organization here that says, it's called the Door of Hope Children Mission. It says around 3,500 babies are abandoned every year.
But as I was saying, we have an obligation to report. And if those organizations are saying that the numbers could be more, it means that even they themselves are not reporting to the department, because they know as well, when you are in the child rights space, the law obligates you to make sure that any suspected, we're not even saying that if something has been done, but we are saying if you see that there is any suspected case of child abuse, be it abandonment and any other form of child abuse, we all have an obligation to report. And therefore it means that we are properly reporting, including on the side of the civil society organizations. These numbers are coming from the departments, from the various departments of social development across the country, and it means that it comes from those who are reporting to the department.
Okay, so for those that have reported to the department, the top 3 provinces that you've got registered with you: KwaZulu-Natal with 92 incidents of children abandoned, the Free State with 69, the Western Cape with 37. Do we know what the driving forces are behind those numbers in those particular provinces?
It may be that socio-economic issues. It also can be that the circumstances that a person has also, conceived that child. We also know that we have a lot of cases of teenage pregnancy, and despite everything that government is trying to do and trying to say to South Africans that if you do not want to have a baby, you don't want to keep a baby, you have options. You have options, number 1, of terminating a pregnancy. You have options, number 2, of giving up the child for foster care or adoption. And so these are also services that are there to make sure that when you find yourself in a situation where you do not want to keep the baby, then you can be able to legally give up that baby.
Yeah, what is the process that the Department of Social Development then goes through once you have registered a case of child abandonment? What is it that you do? Do you step in, and what steps do you take?
Yes, we do step in whenever we are needed to step in, because we are also the custodians of the Children's Act, which means that we are the ones who are the last line of defense for children. We have to report cases, as I have alluded to the fact that when we know of things, we have to make sure that they are reported. Secondly, also the issue of psychosocial support services, because if you are not willing to have a child, and also you find yourself in a situation where you are pregnant, it means that you need to have those psychosocial services given to you, and on top of that, we give you the options of what you have in terms of giving up that baby for foster care or even adoption, and we take you through to that process.
What is the capacity that we have on the ground? Because I'm seeing here, and my understanding is that once the department has received a record of child abandonment, the child protection protocol then gets activated, and the matter is assigned to child protection social work for further investigation. What does your capacity on the ground look like where that is concerned? That being child protection social work in very vulnerable communities.
Remember, we also are supporting a lot of NGOs who are doing social development services and also who are in the child protection space. We are also working with international organizations like you Save the Children. Therefore, yes, we have an issue of not having enough social workers, but these organizations which we support as NPO, as a department, are also there to deliver these services on behalf of the state.
Okay. And is this an increase that we're seeing? Because I'm seeing, again, 250, and you can clarify if that was between October and December, because also reports that this could have been the whole of last year. And how does that compare with numbers seen the previous year of babies abandoned in the country?
This is an increase if we look at the number of 254. And maybe it also is an indication that also people are starting to take it seriously and are reporting these cases. Therefore, yes, we are seeing an increase, and that is a concern for us because government is doing all it can to make sure that there are campaigns as well, starting from the school level between us and Department of Education and Department of Health, to make sure that there's information in the services that are closer to young girls and also to the youth and older women.
Do we need to centralize, information and perhaps, create a portal where young girls, young women are able to go if they feel that they're pregnant and they need to, they run the chance of abandoning a child? And if so, what should that look like? Do we have one in place? Essentially what I'm asking is, right now perhaps there is a teenage girl who's watching this, is pregnant and feels that once she gives birth, she's going to leave that baby in a drain, as we have been seeing some of these cases really stepping forward and being found, right? What is your message to that young girl who's watching this discussion right now?
The message to that young girl, especially if that young girl is at school, we have social workers at schools that are there to make sure that the child protection services are there, and also to make sure that the child remains in school. There you can start with a social worker at school if you are in school. If you are not in school, you can be able, as you go to your antenatal classes, if you are going to any antenatal classes, that you can speak to the health worker and be able to tell them of the decision that you want to make. Those services are there on the spot for anyone who wants to do them, and they can be referred to the Department of Social Development for the necessary services.
Unfortunately, though, and this is the reality, is that if you're living in a very difficult community, a township, for instance, and we've seen this multiple times, that young girls that are vulnerable struggle to speak to health practitioners. So is there a direct line when they can get social development services without needing to go through healthcare facilities that for a lot of the time they face quite a bit of judgment? We've seen this multiple times.
Yes, we do have the Gender-Based Violence Command Center where you can be able to call on 0800 428 428, 0800 428 428, and you can be able to speak to a social worker directly.
All right, let's leave it there. Thank you so much for speaking to us. We really do appreciate it. That there, Lumka Oliphant, who's spokesperson for the Department of Social Development.